everyone, and welcome to High Performing Coaches with Aneri Bellamy, your connection and communication coach. Thank you for joining us again on today, where we are talking to coaches that are making impact. And on today, we have AnYes with us. Did I say it right?
You said it perfectly.
All right, awesome. Hey, everyone, I was practicing before we got on here. I wanted to make sure I said that correctly. Such a beautiful name. I wouldn't want to mess it up. So, AnYes, thank you so much for being with us here today and having an opportunity to leave impact on our audience. So, we're just going to go right into that first question, which is, who are you purposed to serve?
So thank you for having me to start with. And I am absolutely convinced that women should be emotionally and financially independent, knowing that it's the emotional independence that will lead them to the financial independence. But the reason why I believe in that I want that, is that in doing so, they can become role models for more women to do the same. And that is how we will shape a better world. So, of course, financial independence, the easy way to do it is through having a business. But what kind of business? So the women that I'm addressing are women who either have a business or want a business. And what I help them do is to unearth and crystallize the vision they have for their life and business, or I should say business and life. Life is the consequence here. And most of them don't have any. And what I like to say is that having a clear vision is like, you know, when you go somewhere and you turn your GPS on in your car, but you forget to put an address in it. So what's the point?
Right.
What is the point? Yeah. So I help them find what that address actually is. And once they have that, I then help them to turn it into a fulfilling business and life, but on their own terms. So whatever it is they want for themselves, I will give them all the foundations they need in order to ensure that all of that is sustainable. So it's a very, very comprehensive approach. It's a framework that I have developed over the years, that I've applied to myself, and it works. It works. And the interesting thing is that I would probably say that the women that I am addressing are the ones that are, you know, the midlife type of people who are thinking there must be more to life. I want more than that. I want to give it meaning and etc. So even if occasionally I will work with younger women, because in reality, women want that at a younger age than before now, that giving meaning, etc. But I'm with those women who want to really create something solid for the next part of their life. And yeah, that is fascinating. So that is where I say it is never too late to reinvent yourself. And by reinventing yourself, what I mean is to take back control of your life, is to step in the driver's seat of your life in reality, and really take the time to reflect and think about what it is that you want for yourself and the people around you, and then get focused, intentional and focused on making it happen.
I love it. I love it. So, with such a large purpose in life, and I know that it had to come from some part of your story. So, what is it about you and your story that led you to be purposed to serve women in the way that you do?
Well, interestingly enough, it's funny because I remembered last week, on Saturday, I was talking to someone who asked me a very similar question. And I suddenly remembered that when I was something like 18, probably, and that is admittedly quite a few decades ago, so the world wasn't the same as today. It was less common for women to divorce, etc., than it is now. And I remember that couple, the friend of the boyfriend that I had back then, he was now in a relationship with a woman who had left her husband, and who explained to me back in the days the importance of a woman to be being financially independent. So that's a first seed that was already there. Then much later, and that's something like 10 years ago, my youngest sister, who's 12 years younger than I am, lost her husband. He was 37, and she was in 1 minute he was gone and left alone with 3 kids. It happens that he had taken good care of her, but it took us 3 months to find out, to sort everything out. So a lot of anxiety, of course, on top of the emotions. And to me, that was really something where I thought, no, this is not normal. This shouldn't happen. A woman shouldn't be relying on someone else,
Right.
etc. So that was that situation. And then so I have reinvented myself multiple times in my life, but the most epic one that for me was the how do you say that, the cherry on the cake or whatever. So kind of, yeah, that was when I left a toxic relationship 7 years ago, and I chose to leave despite the fact that I knew that I would lose absolutely everything, and I lost absolutely everything. I left with 43 euros. I was 57. I had to move in with my one of my sisters for a year with her family, but instead of stepping into victimhood, I decided that it was an amazing opportunity to reconsider all my choices in life and business, which is what I did.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, that's how it all comes together. It's for me constantly. I cringe, for instance, when I hear clients or not necessarily clients say to me, oh, I don't know, about investing in a course or whatever, that type of, oh, I will ask my husband. And I think, how is that possible? You shouldn't be asking your husband if he authorizes you. So I can talk for hours on that topic. I'm absolutely passionate about the fact that a woman should be financially independent, but before that, emotionally independent, and that she should have happiness in doing what she's doing, be passionate about what she's doing.
Right. I
Get
love
that
it.
satisfaction.
And I understand exactly where you're coming from, because I was at a place where I wasn't that financially independent woman. So, I would actually have to go to my husband for something as simple as personal items that I may need. I was the stay-at-home mom, and my job, was to raise the girls and make sure they were well taken care of and the house was well taken care of. But in the midst of that, if there was something that I needed, I again had to go to my husband for it. And then one day I was a writer. I love to write. I love to draw. And I realized that, hey, people get paid for putting words on, this was about 12 years ago. So it was fairly new, the concept, to most. And so I sold myself. I kind of, I did like you did. I went out and I shared my story and got businesses to give me a chance to write their content for them. I was like, hey, the first couple of pieces I'll do for this, and then that, give me a shot. And of course, with the story behind it, that mom that was looking to, grow a business and be more than just someone's mom, to actually develop a name for myself as well, they gave me a chance. And when they gave me that chance, I grew a business from it. And then, the next time I needed something personal, I was able to, there's nothing more golden then that first time that you're able to purchase something for yourself, and it's your money. It's not, it's money you've earned, and money, it's just, well, there's nothing like that feeling when you're able to do those things. So yes, what you're doing is much needed. There's so many women out there who have spent a lifetime either being that stay-at-home mom, or and now all the kids are grown, and and everybody's off doing their own thing, and now they're in that place of, who am I and what am I now?
Exactly. And because women, of course, and there are tons of reasons behind that, of course, but because they are always taking care of others, there's no room left for them in the equation.
Right.
And at some point they wake up and think, wait a moment, and me and all of that, and me and all of that, and they want a place too. Then of course there is this whole story around, oh, but who am I to want something for myself? This whole, do I deserve this?
Right.
Yes, you deserve it. Absolutely, you deserve it.
Yes. And it's great to know that you work them through all of that, because I know I used to have clients come on for a session, and I could just hear that they were emotionally or mentally somewhere else. Their day, just something about their day or something about their life had uh, was not going, the way that they wanted it to or desired or needed it to. And I could just hear the stress and stuff in their voices. And I'd say, we're not going to do your session today. No, 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 because they showed up, right? They were like, I'm determined to show up for the session regardless, but I'm like, you're just not in the mental
Yeah, if you're not in the
headspace
right
to,
space.
yeah, I'm like, now we can talk about what you're dealing with, what we can talk you through that, but we're not going to talk business today. You're just not. So that is such an important piece. It is the foundation to any success. Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. I run a vision course, and I make it a shortcut to say vision course. So most people, when they sign up, they think they come to create a vision board. And in reality, it's so much more than that, because we are going to create a vision board, of course. We are going to translate it into a project plan, 3 year, 1 year, 90 day, etc. But we're also going to look at how fear is going to stand in your way, and how to address it, and how to raise your vibration, and how to shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, so to possibilities. I live in a world of possibilities. That's why I spell my first name with a capital Y in it, because I say yes to life.
right.
So all of that are the tools that they then walk away with, and there is a before and after. On just a 5-week course, there is a before and after, because all of a sudden they've authorized themselves to think big, to dream
Right.
big. But it's not only dreaming, because obviously if that's all you do, all it is a dream. It's then concretely, what are we doing? Because the key and the antidote to fear, by the way, is action. Without the action, you go nowhere. But you need to shift your mindset. But you need to shift your mindset first.
Right. Yep. I absolutely love it. And I know exactly what you're saying, because I was that person at one point. My mentor, he had to deal with me on a personal level first. He kept telling me, you are enough. He was like, okay, forget all other stuff. We have to back you all the way up. Or he'd say, it's not hard to make 10K. And I'd chuckle, right? I'd do this little laugh. And he'd say, that laugh is really you're denying the possibility. You're saying that laugh is saying, yeah, right, that's not possible. So he had to work through all of that with me in order for those doors of abundance to open. So I totally get it. A lot of times we don't know it, but there's a lot of businesses out there struggling, and it's not because they're not good at what they do. It's not because they don't have a tangible product and all of that. It's just literally they're in their own way by that mental mindset and
Yeah,
blockage.
I was going to say, the only thing that stands in our way constantly, whether we know it or not, is ourselves.
Right.
It's what we have in between here, between our 2 ears. Yeah.
So
No,
let me
absolutely.
ask you, and I've enjoyed chatting with you. I could do this all day, but let me ask you, that lady, that woman that is at that place of needing to reinvent herself, happens to cross your path, and it's your one and only opportunity to tell her something transformational for her life. What would you say to her?
It's interesting, because that is something that has withheld me, my own thing in between my 2 ears for many years, is that I don't have just one recipe. And I've always wondered, what should come first? Is it first the mindset? Is it first this? Is it first that? And ultimately, I've come up with a journey almost. And the very first thing that I say is, whether you have already won or not, you need to have a clear vision. You need to have a clear vision. And I gave you the metaphor just before we started the active part of the interview. If you don't have a vision, it's as if you are trying to drive from home to somewhere. You turn your GPS on, but you don't put an address in it. Where do you go? When you put an address in it, whatever happens, you need to trust that your GPS will bring you where you're going to. So to make an analogy again with a car, at night, you don't see the road, but it unfolds with your light as you are driving.
Right.
And then if there is all of a sudden works on the road or whatever, and you're asked to turn left when you are meant to go straight, you trust that your GPS will bring you back. So that vision is absolutely vital. On top of it, having a clear why, knowing why you want to go there, is also something that will then help you when you have a day where you think, oh, I don't feel like doing this anymore. We all have days like that, yeah?
Right.
So when you know what you can hold on to, that is extremely useful. From there, you need to shift your mindset, as in look at what works in life instead of what doesn't. Well, as a coach, you know all about the law of polarity. Everything and its opposite is existing in the world. If you have black, there is white at the other end of the spectrum, but they are just two ends of the same thing. What are you choosing to focus on? So if you want to look only at everything that goes wrong in your life, well, you will be a walking example that the law of attraction works extremely well, because you very likely are having tons of problems. Whereas if you start looking at everything that is positive, everything that works well, including shifting the way you talk, etc., your mind doesn't understand the negation and doesn't understand the difference between what is and what isn't. So you can totally rewire your brain, of course, not overnight. You did not, spend building your mindset over a lifetime and then overnight suddenly change it. But you can consciously choose to start shifting that, and you will see totally different results in your life. That's immediate. The other thing is to know how to handle fear. And fear, ultimately, the key is to understand that fear will always be there. We all operate from a place of fear. However, the key is to not stay with it, is to acknowledge it, then deconstruct it, and then to move on. So by taking action. And there is a very simple reason for that, is your mind cannot focus on two things at the same time. And so, and the keyword here is focus. I'm not talking about multitasking. And so when you are focusing on fear, well, at the beginning, it may be small, but then if you focus on it, you give it the room to grow, to grow, to grow, and then it paralyzes you. Right. So the key is to identify it at a very early stage, and it can come in so many different disguises. I mean, procrastination, for perfectionism, that type of thing, that's all fear-based. So the earlier you are able to recognize you're operating from that place, you can then start challenging it. Is it true? Is it true whatever I'm fearing will happen? No, of course not. It hasn't happened yet. So from there, you can then deconstruct it and then choose to take action. So knowing how to use fear as a fuel instead of letting it paralyze you is another key. And then action, because a lot of people, if we look at the realm of people who believe in the law of attraction, etc., it's not about just believing in the law of attraction and things will happen on their own. Right. You need to actually do something for it. Right. Yeah. So you need to take focused action. The pillars of my work here, I'm talking about the pillars, are self-awareness. So raise your self-awareness, because without that, there's nothing you can change. Then from that place, make conscious choices. We all are where we are in life as a consequence of our choices, but most of the time they were not ours. So here it's about making really conscious choices, and then from there stay intentional and focused. So that comes back to the vision again, and have the discipline to do it. So the last pillar is usually one that people don't like, but without discipline, you won't get anywhere. And so, yeah, the framework that I have developed is all about first clarifying. And so clarifying who you are, what's important to you. So from the result of that step is all about getting you from confusion to clarity. The next step is to clear what stands in the way, so your beliefs, your mindset, etc. So that leads you from limitations to possibilities. And when you start seeing possibilities, it changes everything. And then, of course, create. So coming back to the action part again, that create part is all about, I would say, disengagement to leadership, self-leadership. And then you want to make it sustainable. So that's when you consolidate. And the consolidate part is what leads you from roller coaster to stability.
Right.
And that's everything about, systems in fact, the whole system part for me, other than that I'm Dutch and I'm therefore also very, systems, tools, and etc.,
Right.
is that I hate wasting time.
Yeah.
Because time is life. I hate
Right.
wasting time. So whatever I can, streamline, automate, make simple, etc., that's what is giving me more time to enjoy life.
Right.
So yeah, so that's why I'm saying there is not just one key. It is a set of keys that are working together. Otherwise, it would be simpler. But you have to start with your vision. Without that, you're going nowhere, or you could go anywhere.
Right, right. I love it. Absolutely. And I am the other side of what you're talking about. So I know what it means to reinvent yourself and to do it correctly. I've done it several times before, but to do it correctly, it's like night and day, and a lot of times we stay on a hamster wheel for years and
Yeah,
years and
exactly.
years because and it's not because we have to. It's because we just haven't gotten the right tools to get us off the hamster wheel. So I
Yeah,
really,
that's
really
why.
appreciate that.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah,
really, really appreciate your story.
that is when people, for instance, will leave a corporate job because they were on a hamster wheel and they set up a business. And what do? They recreate a hamster wheel. That's why that consolidate part is so important. And that hamster wheel, interestingly enough, can come from two angles. One is the business is not run as a business and therefore doesn't get them the results that they need, and
Right,
therefore their business is the business is totally ruling their life. Or the opposite is, I'm so successful but I don't have a life anymore. So same result, their business is ruling their life. That's why I'm talking about take back control of your life.
right. I love it. I love it. So thank you for so much impactful information. I know it's going to bless someone. Um, but if they want to continue the conversation with you, if they didn't get enough in this interview, how would they contact you? How would they reach you?
Well, I am known as the Reinvention Mentor. I have trademarked it. So my website is the reinventionmentor.biz. And I can be found on social media either under my name, AnYes van Rhijn, or AnYes the Reinvention Mentor. And on my website, there is a scheduler that can book a session with me directly. Yeah, simple enough. I am on Instagram, I am on LinkedIn, and I am on Facebook. I also have a free um, uh, Facebook group that is called Female Entrepreneurs with a Vision. And that is all about giving support and accountability to women who want to turn their vision into action, even if they don't know yet what it is.
I
So
love it. Thank you so much. And I look forward to networking and continuing our conversation even after this interview. Thank you for being a part of High Performing Coaches. Thank you for blessing us with your time today. I know that your time is valuable, but the information you shared with us today is definitely priceless. So
thank you so much for having me. I always love sharing with people. If I can impact them, I'm grateful. One person at a time.
yep, one
That's how we
person at
will
a
get
time.
there. Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So everyone, this is another episode with High Performing Coaches, and I've talked to another coach that's making impact. Until next time, this is Aneri Bellamy, your communication and connection coach. Thank you.